NewGenGamers.com.
Welcome everybody to another New Gen Gamers documentary. This is Console Wars of the Past Part 3, the N64 era. Here we have the illustrious Nintendo 64 right in front of us here. Now this system was the first one to actually have a true 64-bit processor in the system. And as you will notice, it also uses cartridge medium. One of the last systems to do so. Probably the last if we are not counting portables. Here we have some of the games for it. As you can see, they're kind of a rounded shape. See the cartridge on the bottom. And here we've got Body Harvest, GoldenEye, Star Wars Shadows of the Empire, Ogre Battle, Super Smash Brothers, Mario Kart. The two great Zelda games, there's Majora's Mask and Ocarina of Time. A perennial favorite, Harvest Moon 64. Paper Mario, Pokemon Snap, and Biofreaks for something interesting. Now, on the back of the console, we have pretty much your standard connections. There's your TV connection, and they had the power adapter now built into the console. So you just hooked it into this right here, and then just plugged it straight into the wall, so it was no more bulky adapter. On the back, there was an extension port, which was, for the most part, never utilized. Was more for the Nintendo 64 disk drive, which never saw the light of day. And on the top of the console, we have the memory expansion port, which we have a jumper pack in there right now, but if you take that out, just pop in the memory expansion, you will have memory expanded games, I suppose. I never really used it.
Yeah, it was only supported by several games, including Majora's Mask, and if you look at the box here, expansion pack required, so this game would not play in this Nintendo 64 without the expansion pack.
I played mine on GameCube.
Cheater!
Okay, now, as you'll see, we also have 4 controller ports, which was perfect, and pretty much the essence of the console. This was really meant to be a multiplayer console. And here we have the ultra unique Nintendo 64 controller.
With 3 prongs.
Yes, the 3-arm, as I like to call it, the X-Wing controller. We have the analog stick in the middle here, the first console to utilize this type of analog stick. We have the traditional D-pad on the left side here, your bright red start button in the center, you have your green B, your blue A, and your C buttons, down, left, up, right.
Which were intended to be camera buttons in the new 3D format as a way to control where the camera was at. And we'd later see that refined, I guess, in the GameCube with the yellow
C-stick,
nub.
yeah.
Yes.
It worked really well for the games at the time. And also on the back is you have the Z-trigger, which was really good for shooting games. It had the trigger feel to it, where this was later adopted into the Xbox and the Xbox console with their triggers, how it feels, I believe.
Yeah, kind of giving instead of it being on top, it's behind. You're pulling it towards you.
Yeah, it's
definitely better. Definitely a better design. And of course,
this is our memory card port, also available. Here's a memory card. Pop it in. You can save games that for some reason wouldn't save on their own cartridges. And we also have the Rumble Pack. Da 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 da. You pop it in, your N64 controller now rumbles. Kind of adds some weight to it, but it's worth it for the feedback.
Yeah, it makes it top heavy.
Yeah, it kind of messes with the design a little bit, but...
So, usually after playing for a while, you just gave up and just played without anything if possible.
Yeah, the N64 controller was almost best at just being a base. Oh yeah, and the
Shoulder buttons.
Shoulder L and R buttons on the top there. Not to be forgotten.
Of course, if you look at it, it's basically the Super Nintendo's controller, just modified with the extra doodads.
Extra appendage in the middle.
Yeah.
That was one thing about the N64 controller that I had a little trouble with, was the 3-prong controller. I never could get used to that until later I actually got to play it more.
Well,
But just in passing.
it was really, really well made for the whole Bond thing. Any type of shooter.
Yeah, it made console shooters viable for the first time. This is the first properly done analog stick on a console, and it was tight. You could do small refined movements. You could walk slowly and then start running. You could strafe with the camera buttons. There was a lot of stuff that it could do that previous controllers just couldn't do. And shortly thereafter, the Sony PlayStation released the DualShock version of their controller with what Nintendo had innovated with their system. So, it was another case where they continued innovating, but it was too little too late. There was too many things that were wrong with the N64, which we'll get into, that really kept it from taking off. But if you look at the library of games we have here, they're all great games, but it just couldn't compete with the PlayStation.
And its flux of many, many games. Alright, well, how about we start playing this?
Each year, thousands of piñatas are brutally beaten. These senseless beatings have been a barbaric form of entertainment for many generations, often leaving it with its carcass dismantled and its innards plucked and mutilated. Its vibrant colors and passive nature make the piñata an irresistible target for violence and aggression, claiming sole responsibility for the reduction of the piñata population. Unless people flock to a new form of entertainment, the piñata will forever vanish from our landscapes, existing only in fairy tales and dreams.
NewGenGamers.com